Hey friends, welcome back to Making My Own Lane. If you're new here, I'm a solo traveler in my 60s, rolling across the country in my Class C RV and sharing what I learn along the way. And let me tell you, every single day on this journey teaches me something new. Sometimes eye-opening realizations that make me go, wait, what? Today's topic falls squarely in that second category, and it's something I discovered a few weeks back during an emergency alternator replacement in Yeehaw Junction, Florida. Another travel day, another breakdown. Might as well sit down. I'm going to be here for a while. You know how it is when you're dealing with RV repairs. You end up learning things you never expected to learn, right? So here's what caught me completely off guard. Did you know that many RVs, especially Class C motorhomes like mine, don't come with built-in tire pressure monitoring systems, even the newest models? And here's the kicker. In most cases, they're not even required by law to have them. So if you're cruising down the interstate thinking your RV is keeping an eye on your tire pressure the same way your car does, well, you might want to grab a cup of coffee and settle in for this one, because what I discovered might just change how you think about RV safety. And it definitely changed how I approach my pre-trip inspections. This isn't just about technology or regulations. It's about our safety out there on the road, especially those of us traveling solo. So stick around, because we're going to dive deep into why this gap exists, what it means for you, and most importantly, what you can do about it. Let me start by saying, if you're more experienced with RVs than I am, some of this might seem pretty basic to you, but I'm a firm believer that we're all learning as we go, and sometimes the most obvious things are the ones we overlook. So here's how this whole revelation started. I was doing my usual routine maintenance check. You know the drill: tires, fluids, lights, all that good stuff that keeps us safe on the road. I was crouched down next to my dual axle, looking at those tires that carry my entire mobile home, when a thought hit me. Why doesn't my rig alert me to low tire pressure like my Jeep does? I mean, it seems so logical, right? My little Jeep Renegade beeps at me if a tire drops even 2 psi. But here I am with this 12,500-pound motorhome and nothing. No dashboard warning, no little yellow light, no friendly chime to let me know if something's going wrong down there. I bought all the right tools: the fancy digital gauge, the angled chuck for those hard to reach inner duals, even one of those pressure gauges that's supposed to be easier for women to use. But you know what? I still find that the most reliable way to get accurate readings and proper inflation is to take my RV to my trusted mechanic or a tire shop. And after talking to other people, I know I'm not alone. Here's something that made me feel a little bit better about my struggles. Even some of the tire shop technicians have trouble filling up my dually tires. I've watched seasoned mechanics scratch their heads trying to figure out the best angle to reach the inner dual on my rear axle. Some get it right away and can check and adjust air pressure just like working on any other tire. But others, they're fumbling around just like I do. So if you've ever felt intimidated by checking your own RV tire pressure, you're not alone. But back to my main question: why no tire pressure monitoring system? As I started researching whether newer Class C motorhomes come standard with TPMS, that's tire pressure monitoring systems, for those who are new to the acronym, I stumbled down a rabbit hole that led me to some pretty surprising discoveries about federal regulations and safety requirements. Turns out, unless your RV falls under a very specific weight class and configuration, tire pressure monitoring is not required by law the way it is on literally every other passenger vehicle you can buy today. And that, my friends, is where our story really begins. All right, let's take a trip back to the year 2000. Picture this: SUVs with Firestone tires were experiencing catastrophic tread separations, leading to rollovers and deaths. The public was outraged, families were devastated, and Congress knew they had to act. Enter the Transportation Recall Enhancement, Accountability, and Documentation Act, mercifully shortened to the TREAD Act. This federal safety law was designed to prevent exactly the kind of tire-related tragedies that had been making headlines. Fast forward to 2007, and we get the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 138, FMVSS 138 for short. Here's what it mandated, and I'm going to quote this directly because the wording matters. All passenger cars, trucks, buses, and multi-purpose passenger vehicles with the gross vehicle weight rating of 10,000 pounds or less must be equipped with a tire pressure monitoring system. Sounds comprehensive, right? Finally, a law that would make sure every vehicle on the road would warn drivers about dangerous tire pressure drops. Except, well, there's always an except when it comes to regulations. Here's the kicker, and this is where it gets personal for many of us RV folks. The regulation includes the seemingly innocent little exclusion. Vehicles equipped with dual wheels on an axle are excluded from this requirement. Let me repeat that. If your vehicle has dual wheels, what we call dualies, you're completely exempt from TPMS requirements even if you're under that 10,000-pound limit. Now let's talk about Class C RVs specifically. My rig weighs in at a little over 12,500 pounds. Many Class Cs range from 11,000 to 19,500 pounds. So right off the bat, most of us are over that 10,000-pound threshold anyway. But even if you had a smaller Class C that somehow came in under 10,000 pounds, which would be pretty unusual if it has dual rear wheels, is still exempt. And those gorgeous, massive Class A motorhomes, we're talking 20,000 to 40,000 pounds in many cases, way, way over the limit. But here's what really got me thinking. What about all those pickup trucks towing massive fifth wheels and travel trailers? You know the ones, the heavy-duty Ram 3500s, Ford F-350s, and Chevy Silverado 3500s with dual rear wheels. Even when they're just pickup trucks, the dually configuration exempts them from TPMS requirements. So you could have someone pulling a 15,000-pound fifth wheel with a truck that has no tire pressure monitoring whatsoever. Think about that for a minute. That's a combined weight of maybe 25,000 pounds rolling down the highway at 70 miles an hour, and there's no system watching those critical tire pressures. The more I dug into this, the more I realized that the RV community and really anyone who needs the capability that comes with heavy-duty vehicles got left behind by this safety regulation. And that was 18 years ago. We've had nearly 2 decades to undate this law as RV travel has exploded in popularity. But here we are, still operating under the same exemptions. Now you might be thinking, surely those incredible Class A motorhomes have tire pressure monitoring systems built in, right? I mean, we're talking about rolling mansions that cost more than many people's houses. Certainly, they're not skipping on safety features. Well, it's complicated. And the answer is sometimes yes, sometimes no. And there's absolutely no requirement either way. Let me break this down by what I've discovered through research and talking to other RVers. The high-end diesel pusher Class A motorhomes, brands that start at $300,000 and go up from there. Many of these do include TPMS as standard equipment. But here's the thing, they're including it as a luxury feature, not a safety requirement. It's often bundled with other high-tech systems like engine monitoring, hydraulic leveling controls, and satellite TV systems. These premium manufacturers often build on commercial truck chassis, like Freightliner, and they can integrate more sophisticated monitoring systems because they're essentially custom building each unit. When you're spending $500,000 on a motorhome, tire pressure monitoring becomes just another expected feature. But here's what shocked me. Even some $200,000 to $400,000 Class A motorhomes don't include TPMS. I found forum discussions where owners of brand new expensive rigs were asking about aftermarket tire monitoring systems because their coaches didn't come with them. The gas-powered Class A motorhomes, which are often more affordable and built on modified truck chassis, are even less likely to have built-in TPMS. These might be $100,000 to $200,000 rigs, still representing huge investments for most families. But tire monitoring isn't considered standard. The bottom line is this. Unless you've specifically verified that your RV has built-in tire pressure monitoring and you know how to use it and what to look for, don't assume your rig is watching your tires for you, even if you paid well over 6 figures for it. Friends, let me get real with you for a minute, because this hits close to home for me and probably for many of you watching. I'm out here solo, 63 years old, driving a 30-foot motorhome across highways, mountain passes, country roads, and busy interstates. When something goes wrong, and in RV life, something always eventually goes wrong, I don't have a co pilot to spot problems I might miss. I don't have a passenger keeping an eye on the mirrors while I focus on the road ahead. That means I need every advantage I can get when it comes to knowing my rig is healthy and safe. I need to trust my motorhome completely because often it's just me on the road. And let's talk about the reality of tire failures on RVs. According to the RV Industry Association, tire-related problems are among the top causes of roadside emergencies for RV owners. But it's not just about inconvenience. Tire blowouts can be catastrophic, especially on heavy vehicles like our RVs. Here's what really gets me. If I were driving a regular pickup truck, the law would require it to warn me about that slowly deflating tire long before it became dangerous. For those of us traveling solo, especially women in this community, every safety advantage matters. We can't rely on someone else to walk around the rig during fuel stops. We can't depend on a passenger to notice something unusual in the mirrors. We need our rigs to communicate with us about potential problems. That's why the regulatory gap around TPMS feels personal to me. It's not just about technology or compliance, it's about whether solo travelers like us get the same safety protections as everyone else on the road. Okay, so we've established that we can't count on the government or manufacturers to keep us safe when it comes to tire pressure monitoring. That means it's up to us to find solutions. And thankfully, the aftermarket has stepped up with some interesting options. Let me walk you through what's available because I've been researching this extensively as I decide what to do for my own rig. First, you've got the DIY systems that work with smartphone apps. Some aftermarket companies make systems where you can screw sensor caps onto each tire valve stem, and they communicate wirelessly either to a dedicated display or your phone. The sensors monitor both pressure and temperature, and they'll alert you if either goes outside of your preset parameters. The pros of these systems are pretty compelling. Real-time monitoring while you're driving, historical data so you can track trends, and alerts before a tire gets dangerously low. Many also monitor temperature, which can be just as important as pressure for preventing blowouts. I've been following several RV Facebook groups where people share their experiences with these systems, and the feedback is generally positive. One woman told me her TPMS system warned her about a slow leak that she never would have noticed otherwise, potentially saving her from a blowout in the middle of nowhere. But there are definitely some cons to consider. Some users report that the systems can be glitchy, especially the smartphone-based ones. Sensors need battery replacements every few years, and if one fails, you might not know it until you're manually checking pressure. There's also the accuracy question, particularly for those of us with dual wheels. The sensors need to be calibrated for your specific tire load ratings and operating pressures. If you run your tires at 80 psi like I do, but the system was designed for car tires that run at 35 psi, the accuracy might be questionable. Then you've got the higher end systems that integrate with your RV's existing electrical system. These are more complex to install, and you'll probably need a professional, but they can provide dashboard displays and even tie into your RV's monitoring systems if you have them. These systems tend to be more robust and accurate, but they also cost significantly more, sometimes $800 to $1,500 installed. And I'll be honest with you, I haven't pulled the trigger on any system yet. Part of me wants to wait until I need new tires, which should be in about a year, and install sensors during the tire replacement. But part of me wonders if these systems will end up causing more trouble than they're worth in the long run, just like the extensions I used to have on my dualies to make checking the tire pressure and adding air easier for me. It turned out that those extensions were the cause of every one of my tire troubles. What I do know is that if I want tire safety monitoring, I'm going to have to make it happen myself. The RV industry and the federal regulations aren't going to do it for me, even if I buy a new rig. Here's what really bothers me about this whole situation. It's 2025, and we're still operating under safety regulations that were written for the RV landscape of 2007. Think about how much has changed in RV travel since then. The pandemic created a massive boom in RV sales and rentals. More people are working remotely and living full time in RVs. More families are choosing RV travel over traditional vacations. And significantly more solo travelers, especially women, are hitting the road in motorhomes and trailers. Yet our safety regulations haven't evolved with this changing landscape. We're still excluded from some of the same tire monitoring requirements that protect every other driver on the road, simply because we need vehicles capable of carrying our homes with us. The current 10,000-pound GVWR limit made some sense in 2007 when most RVs were weekend toys. But today's RVs are often full-time homes with all the water, propane, food, and belongings that entails. The idea that a vehicle becomes somehow less deserving of safety features just because it's over an arbitrary weight limit seems outdated. And that dual wheel exemption, I understand the technical challenges. Dual wheels can make sensor replacement and monitoring more complex. But we've had 18 years to figure out solutions. The technology exists. What's missing is the regulatory requirements to implement it. I think it's time for Congress to take another look at the TREAD Act and ask whether its exceptions still make sense. When you have millions of Americans living and traveling in RVs, when solo female travelers are one of the fastest growing segments of the RV community, and when tire-related accidents continue to be a major safety concern, maybe it's time to close these loopholes. We deserve the same safety protections as everyone else on the road. And honestly, the people sharing the highway with us deserve the assurance that we're operating safe, well-monitored vehicles too. All right, friends, now I want to turn this into a conversation because I know many of you have experiences and insights that could help all of us stay safer on the road. First question. Did you know about these TPMS exemptions before watching this video? Were you surprised to learn that your RV or tow vehicle might not have the same tire monitoring requirements as your family car? Drop a comment and let me know. I'm genuinely curious about how widespread this knowledge is in our community. For those of you who have installed aftermarket tire pressure monitoring systems, I really want to hear from you. Which system did you choose and why? How has it performed over time? Have you caught any problems that you might have missed otherwise? And honestly, have there been any downsides or frustrations? I'm especially interested to hear from other solo travelers, particularly the women in this community. How do you handle tire safety checks? Do you feel confident checking your own tire pressure? Or do you rely on professionals like I do? And how do you balance self-reliance with knowing when to ask for help? And for those of you who are newer to RV life, maybe you just bought your first motorhome or travel trailer. What safety concerns keep you up at night? Tire issues, mechanical problems, navigation challenges? Let's talk about it because chances are others share your concerns. One thing I love about the RV community is how willing people are to share knowledge and look out for each other. We're all out here trying to travel safely and enjoy this incredible lifestyle. And we're stronger when we share what we've learned. So please take a minute to share your thoughts, experiences, and questions in the comments. I read every single one, and I often find that your comments spark ideas for future videos or help me think about topics in new ways. If this video opened your eyes to something new about RV safety, or if it got you thinking about tire monitoring in a different way, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. It helps more RVers find this content, and the more people who understand these safety gaps, the better off we'll all be. If you're not already subscribed to Making My Own Lane, please consider hitting that subscribe button and turning on notifications. I'm documenting my entire journey, sharing the challenges, the discoveries, the beautiful places, and the lessons I learn along the way. Every week brings something new, and I'd love to have you along for the ride. You can also follow me on Instagram at Making My Own Lane for behind the scenes content, real-time updates from the road, and quick tips that don't always make it into the longer videos. I share a lot of the daily realities of solo RV life there, the good, the challenging, and the unexpectedly funny. Before I sign off, let me say this. RV life is incredible, but with it comes responsibilities. We're operating complex vehicles on public roads, often carrying everything we own, sometimes in challenging conditions. The more we can do to ensure our rigs are safe and well maintained, the better this lifestyle becomes for all of us. Whether that means investing in aftermarket tire monitoring, being more diligent about manual pressure checks, or advocating for better safety regulations, every step we take towards safer RVing benefits our entire community and everyone else on the road. Thanks for watching, for engaging, and for being part of this journey. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and keep making your own lane out there. The road is waiting, and there's so much more to explore together. Safe travels.